Hi everyone, happy Monday. I'm just looking for you. I'm just trying to minimize my screen. Hopefully I can find you. Okay, hi. So I want to talk with you today about breaking patterns in your private practice because this is something that's not often talked about, but it's going to happen. And it's happened to me, and I'm sure it's happened to many of us who have been in private practice for a short while, maybe even for a little bit longer. So what I'm talking about is if you start to notice that something is happening repeatedly in your private practice, it could be that there's an underlying belief or an underlying story or an underlying narrative that you're experiencing, and it's coming up to the surface so that you can give it some attention, shine some light on it, and be able to work through it, process it, resolve it. Okay. So, for example, when I first started charging fees. So I was working as a psychologist for like 20 years or something, never charging fees, et cetera, et cetera. I decided I was going to charge fees and I didn't really feel comfortable with it. And so I made a real mess of it because I didn't realize at the time that I had some limiting beliefs around money. I know now, because I've done the work, that some of my limiting beliefs were around accessibility. I believe that I wanted everyone to be able to access all of my services all of the time, not realizing that this belief back then for me was getting in the way of me being able to charge a fee for my service. And I'm sure for you, for many of you, it might be around money mindset as well. I'm just giving you that as it's a common thing. The other thing that I used to do that got in my way for the longest time was I was resisting social media. So I was very late to social media. I think, what I could go back to my Facebook page, but I think I joined Facebook in 2016, so not that long ago. I mean, I'm 48 now, so not that long ago, very much a latecomer. I was resisting it. And I had my own beliefs around social media, and my beliefs around social media meant that I found it really, really difficult to do things like, connect with people, talk to an ideal audience, market my services, and do all of that sort of stuff. So what would happen was, I would try, but I didn't really have my heart in it. And so I didn't get much of a response. Back to the money, I would try and, charge a fee for my services, but sometimes I'd charge it, sometimes I wouldn't. Sometimes I'd apply cancellation fee, other times I wouldn't. I seem to come up with all these percentages of, well, if it's this many hours, then you only do this percent if you cancel, and if it's that many hours, then you're going to do that percent. But really, I believed at the time that I was doing all of that to accommodate my clients, but it was really to accommodate my own fear and stress around charging money. And I made things a lot worse than they needed to be because, as I said, I made a real mess of it. So if you are noticing patterns in your private practice, and it don't have to be around your money mindset or around your marketing, it could be something totally different. Maybe it's around recruiting. Maybe it's like, why can't I find the perfect contractor for my private practice? Or why can't I find the perfect premises or something like that? Why do these things keep happening to me? If you're having that experience of why do these things keep happening to me, I feel that, if you have a strategy in place that's supporting you, probably the strategy is effective and probably the strategy is going to be working. And that tells me it's something else that's not to do with strategy. It's something to do with the inner work. And as we're always encouraging our clients to do, we need to do inner work on ourselves, for ourselves, with ourselves. And you know what? There are so many different ways that you can do that. You can do some of it with a supervisor, sure. You could do some of it with, if you work with each other as, hire each other as your counselors and therapists to process some of that inner work. You could do that as well. For me, I journal, I get answers from writing. So I will journal out questions for myself to answer, and I will just see what comes through. And that's how I process things now. And I love to be in a space with somebody that asks me questions, because when I'm required to answer things, that's when things start to feel very expansive and open for me. So do think about, if something's repeating and you're saying, oh, not this again, or why is this always happening to me? Do have a think about whether or not there's a belief that's tapping you on the shoulder and saying, hey, over here, look at me. I want to be seen. I want to be heard. And when you do that work, what I would love for you to do is, when you're getting ready to shift a belief or release what's no longer serving you, to do so from a space of gratitude, because at some point in time, that belief or story or whatever it is that's now holding you back actually worked for you and helped you and supported and assisted you at some previous point in your private practice or life, or whatever it is, the context. So always release things with gratitude, always acknowledge your own growth. You know, the reason this belief isn't serving you anymore is because you've grown, you've evolved, you've progressed. And that's a beautiful thing. So take time and acknowledge that. And then once you've released it, then you get to create space, or space has been created rather, for you to welcome with open arms a new belief that's going to support you and assist you now at this point in your private practice. Okay. So that's the message for today. Look for where you're saying, I can't believe this is happening again. Tune into that, become aware of it, and then start taking action on it if you feel called and if it feels aligned for you. Okay, so I hope this was super duper helpful. If you have requests for any of the free bite-sized trainings in our group for Mondays, please let me know. Just, send me a private message or pop them in the group, and I'll start to keep a little list of them, because I really want to make sure that the information I'm sharing with you is always helpful. It's my goal to help you all have really successful, beautiful, solid private practices. And I'm on a mission to be able to provide you with all the information and resources and honesty that you need to get from where you are to where you want to be. Thank you so much for watching another one of my videos. Have a beautiful week, everyone. I'll see you in the group. Bye.